Okay, Nigel, as I have you here, could I just get a quick reaction to you about the political aftermath of the Southport murder trial yesterday? Sir Keir Starmer and Kemi Badenoch both playing politics straight after that. What's your take on how things have been handled, what it means for the future of the country, particularly with Prevent and their huge failings?
Well, I mean, our ability to stop terrorists is dismal. But I think what's even worse is the cover-up. You know, Kemi Badenoch knew the identity of this guy. The Labour Party knew the identity of this guy. All I did was ask a simple question. Why are we not being told the truth? Is this man known to the authorities? And for daring to ask that question, I got absolute vilification and hatred, which came from senior politicians and many mainstream broadcasters and newspaper columnists. I was right all along. And if the public had known the truth about this guy, crazy conspiracies would not have spread online, and those riots would have been nowhere near as bad as they were. And I just think, once again, we come across issues like this where the establishment haven't got the courage to face up to it. All Keir Starmer can do is talk about the far right. Well, what about some of the evil ideologies that are allowed to persist within our community? This young man, 10 times was stopped taking a knife to school, had said extreme things. And the fact that he was free to go on and commit those murders is an absolute tragedy. Trouble is, I don't really have confidence that Prevent or the government can do much about it. And for the Crown Prosecution Service to tell the police, to tell the Merseyside police not to give the basic background information about this man, that's a real disgrace. And the head of the CPS, his head should roll.
Nigel Farage's response to the Southport murder trial and the subsequent political fallout underscores his unwavering conviction that the UK needs decisive leadership to address its deepening crises. By calling out the government and political establishment for their failure to prevent such tragedies and their refusal to confront uncomfortable truths, Farage reinforces his narrative as a leader unafraid to challenge the status quo. His statements reflect not only a critique of systemic failings, but also a broader vision for transforming what he has described as a miserable UK into a nation that prioritizes safety, transparency, and accountability. Farage's critique of Prevent and the Crown Prosecution Service, KEEPS, reveals his frustration with a system that he views as fundamentally broken. He highlights that this tragedy could have been avoided had the authorities acted on clear warning signs, such as the suspect's repeated offenses and extremist rhetoric. Farage's assertion that the government lacks the courage to address these issues speaks to his broader critique of a political class he perceives as out of touch and unwilling to confront the ideologies threatening the country's safety. By drawing attention to this failure, Farage positions himself as a leader who would prioritize effective counterterrorism measures and demand accountability from institutions that fall short. Furthermore, Farage's condemnation of political figures like Keir Starmer and Kemi Badenoch for playing politics in the aftermath of the trial aligns with his broader rejection of the establishment's approach to governance. His focus on the public's right to the truth reflects his belief that transparency is essential for rebuilding trust in government. Farage's argument that the riots could have been mitigated if the public had been informed underscores his commitment to honesty and proactive leadership, qualities he suggests are absent in the current administration. Farage's broader message is clear. The UK needs bold, transformative leadership to address the root causes of its challenges. His critique of the government's failure to control immigration, confront dangerous ideologies, and ensure public safety forms the foundation of his promise to save a miserable UK. Farage's willingness to speak directly to the public's frustrations and challenge entrenched institutions positions him as a leader who can bring about real change. By declaring his readiness to become the next Prime Minister, Farage signals his belief that he can fill the leadership void he sees in British politics. His vow to restore accountability, strengthen national security, and rebuild trust resonates with voters disillusioned by what they perceive as a complacent and ineffective establishment. Farage's candid approach and unwavering focus on the nation's pressing issues make him a formidable figure in the political landscape and underline his commitment to charting a new course for the UK.
Senator Secretary of State Robert Jenrick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Lady Chief Justice has said that the courts are not operating at full capacity. Instead of increasing sitting hours, the Justice Secretary's defining intervention in her 5 months in office has been to accidentally let out dangerous criminals from our prisons. And just last week, she rushed to Parliament to close loopholes she created for stalking, for disclosing private sexual images, and for murder. She could be signing deals with other countries to get new prisoner transport agreements. She could be using visa sanctions with foreign countries to force them to take back the 10,000 foreign criminals in our prisons. She isn't. Meanwhile, criminals are being released and are re-offending already. Will the Justice Secretary commit now to end her dangerous and unnecessary early release scheme?
Mr. Speaker, I do think the Shadow Minister could at least have apologised to the country for being part of a government and a party that ran out of prison places. It was the Tory party that ran the system at boiling hot, over 99% capacity. So I'll take no lessons from him because it is this government that is cleaning up the mess that his party left behind.
Robert Jenrick's sharp critique of the Justice Secretary highlights serious concerns about the state of the UK's justice system under her leadership. His pointed remarks reflect the growing frustration over a series of policy failures that have led to dangerous consequences, such as the early release of criminals who go on to reoffend. Jenrick paints a picture of mismanagement and missed opportunities, accusing the Justice Secretary of prioritizing damage control over proactive solutions. He questions why, in the face of a known shortage of prison spaces and rising public safety concerns, the Secretary has not taken decisive action, such as negotiating prisoner transport agreements with foreign countries or using visa sanctions to address the issue of foreign criminals in EU prisons. Jenrick's remarks about the loopholes related to stalking, private image disclosures, and even murder further underline the seriousness of the Justice Secretary's failures. The rushed efforts to address these gaps suggest a reactive, rather than strategic approach to justice reform. His criticism strikes at the heart of public concerns, that criminals are being released prematurely and reoffending, exposing communities to unnecessary risks. Jenrick's demand for an immediate end to the early release scheme underscores the urgent need for accountability and reform within the justice system. Shabana Mahmood's response, however, deflects the criticism by pointing fingers at the previous administration, blaming the Tory party for the prison capacity crisis and systemic issues within the justice system. While her defense acknowledges the historical challenges faced by the system, it fails to directly address the substance of Jenrick's concerns. Her argument that the current government is cleaning up the mess left by the Tories sidesteps the critical question: what is being done now to ensure public safety and restore confidence in the justice system? This exchange reflects the broader political battle over accountability and responsibility within the UK's justice system. Jenrick's critique highlights the public's demand for immediate and effective action, while Mahmood's rebuttal underscores the ongoing blame game that often overshadows meaningful reform. Ultimately, the debate raises serious questions about leadership and priorities, with public safety hanging in the balance as politicians clash over past failures and present solutions. Thanks for watching. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the content. Share your feedback in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with our latest videos. Also, join our free Telegram group link in the description for uncensored discussion on important issues.